Tom Wilson has a rectangular vegetable garden on his farm that has an area of 1,500 square meters. Find the dimensions of the garden if the perimeter is 160 meters. We will first understand the problem. We'll do so by defining our variables. We'll let W equal the width of the garden in meters and L equal the length of the garden in meters. Next, we'll translate, in other words, write an equation or equations that will help us solve this problem. We're given that the area of the garden is 1,500 square meters. We know the area for a rectangle is length times width, so I can write 1,500 is equal to L times W. Secondly, we know the perimeter of the garden is 160 meters. Perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, so we'll write 160 equals 2L plus 2W. We will use those two equations to solve for the dimensions of the garden. Step 3 of this problem is to carry out, which is to solve the system that we wrote in the step 2. To do so, I will first solve the first equation for L. We can divide both sides by W, and so we'll have L is equal to 1,500 divided by W. I can then substitute that expression in for L in the second equation. So I'll have 160 is equal to 2 times 1,500 divided by W plus 2W. Simplifying gives us 160 equals 3,000 over W plus 2W. Now what I'll do is I'll multiply through by the common denominator, which is W. So I'll have 160 W equal to 3,000 plus 2W squared. I notice that I have a squared term, so I'll set the left-hand side equal to 0. I'll rearrange the term, so I'll write 2W squared. Notice I subtract 160W, so I'll write minus 160W and then plus 3,000. This is a quadratic equation, so I will use the quadratic formula to solve for W. We have A equal to 2, B equal to negative 160, and C equal to 3,000. So solving for W using the quadratic formula gives us the opposite of B, which is 160, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. When we simplify, we'll have 160 plus or minus the square root of, now putting that into a calculator will give us the square root of 1,600. This will all be over 4. Simplifying that will give us 160 plus or minus, and the square root of 1,600 is 40. And we'll divide that by 4. We can now determine the two values for W. W is either 160 plus 40 divided by 4, or W is 160 minus 40 divided by 4. So we'll have W equals 160 plus 40 is 200 divided by 4 is 50, or W is 160 minus 40 is 120 divided by 4 is 30. We can use these values for W to figure out what L should be as well. We found two values for W. W equaled 30 and W equaled 50. So let's find the L values that correspond to those W values. We know that L is equal to 1,500 divided by W. So when W is 30, we have 1,500 divided by 30. Using our calculator, we'll find that that is equal to 50. So L is 50 when W is 30. When W is 50, we'll have 1500 divided by 50. Using our calculator, we'll discover that L is 30. Notice that in either case, we'll get the dimensions of the garden. We'll have a 30 by 50 garden, and here we have a 50 by 30, which is the same thing. Since width is typically smaller than length, what we'll do is we'll write the width is 30 meters, and the length is 50 meters. So we can say that the dimensions of the garden is 30 meters by 50 meters.